Welcome to Digital Asset News. We hit top stories in cryptocurrency and digital assets and break them down into bite-sized pieces. Before we get started, let's do a little housekeeping. First of all, this channel is for educational purposes only. I'm not a financial planner, a financial analyst, or anything that has to do with finances. I'm just a small business owner that has a keen interest in cryptocurrencies and digital assets. Secondly, if you do us a big favor and help us beat the YouTube algorithm, just do one of three things. If you could like the video or comment below, and it can be anything about the video itself. If you like the video or you think it sucks, doesn't matter, just make sure it's specific to this video. And lastly, consider subscribing. Now, you don't have to do all three things, but one of those is greatly appreciated. So, a lot of stories to go over, even though it's Sunday, December 29th, 2019. A lot of different things going on. First of all, Daily Hodl talks about if you think you own your Bitcoin, there's an upcoming event for holders that asks you to actually prove it. Bitwise states that crypto is a rare combination of 4 key features in a single investment and why it's one of the most investments that they think you can make. Also, Ripple's XRP is being adopted by almost every Japanese bank, CipherTrace CEO states. Ripple's yearly report is out and it's a bombshell. And to round it all out, XRP and Bitcoin are the most bought coins on COINBASE. So maybe this is smart money getting into it. So without further delay, let's get into the stories. Okay, so this event is called Proof of Keys, and this was on January 3rd, 2020. Crypto industry participants will take part in an annual event called Proof of Keys. Marks the anniversary of the creation of Bitcoin's Genesis block, when the very first Bitcoin was mined. Now, this was created by Trace Mayer. If you guys don't know Trace Mayer, he's an investor. He's one of those guys who in the very early days called out that Bitcoin was going to be one of the great digital assets and for everybody to invest into it. Of course, a lot of people looked at him and laughed and said that's ridiculous, but look at where we are now. But he sent out this tweet and he said, just recently, Einstein Crypto Exchange seized by Canadian securities regulator, $850 million of at Tether, seized with crypto capital, quadrupled CX last year. So before I get into the stories about that, what Proof of Keys is, it's Mayer is asking crypto holders to withdraw their assets from exchanges on January 3rd, moving them to wallets that grant them access to their own private keys. So the goal is fundamental to the purpose of decentralized cryptocurrencies. They're not really yours if you're not holding the private keys. So what he's asking you essentially is take it off of Coinbase, take it off of Binance, take it off of wherever, and put it into your own hands, whether that be a digital ledger, a nano ledger S, or whatever else it is, and so you can hold it. And the reason for that is these centralized cryptocurrency exchanges, such as Einstein Crypto and Quadriga CX, were shut down, and all those customers lost everything, which is pretty awful. So first of all, I had to ask myself, what the hell is Einstein Crypto? I've never even heard of that. So took a little research. Einstein Crypto Exchange, seized by Canadian Securities. The British Columbia Securities Commission, BCSC, didn't even know that thing existed. According to them, the commission received a number of complaints from customers who were unable to access their assets on Einstein Exchange. Lawyer representing the platform told the customers it would shut down in the coming months as the exchange has not been able to make a profit. I don't know how the hell you can't make a profit on an exchange, but apparently it's a possibility. It's the second time in the last year a Canadian crypto exchange has folded. In a more spectacular and wildly case, Quadriga CX collapsed early this year after its founder and CEO, Gerald Cotton, reportedly died due to complications of Crohn's disease. And well, I did a video about this a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was amazing. So Quadriga CX, this guy Cotton, I'm shocked Cotton, that what he did was he was a CEO and he kept all the private keys to himself for a 100 million plus exchange. He said, no, I trust myself and I'm going to keep them just to me. And then apparently he was in India and he apparently died from complications related to Crohn's disease. Now, this was very suspicious, as I talked about in the last video, and there was some investigations going on, and right now they are going to court to exhume his body from his burial site because a lot of investors think to themselves, I don't think he's dead. And if this turns out to be true, then it would be amazing. Now, do I think this is true? Maybe not. I mean, this would be like a pretty incredible story, but there was a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of different wallets that were set up on Quadriga CX that gave this guy Cotton a lot of control and power. And it's just a very odd thing. So we will see. But anyhow, the whole story is this. If you leave your cryptocurrency and digital assets on an exchange, there's a very good possibility that you could lose it. Now, not only this, but look at the situation of Mt. Gox, which, if you're new to this space, Mt. Gox was around in the very early days. It was like one of the few places you could actually get Bitcoin, and it was hacked for hundreds and millions of dollars. And right now, it's worth I'm sure it's worth even more than billions because of so much Bitcoin that was lost in this hack. And a lot of the early investors, they lost a lot of money. So if those people had that money, imagine how rich they would be right now. This is what I talk about as far as regulation. We have to get regulation in there. This crap keeps happening over and over and over again. So why it truly astounds me sometimes when people actually get into cryptocurrency with the track record that it has. I mean, we know there's going to be big gains, there's going to be a payoff, but there's huge risks involved. So to minimize these risks, why don't you do what this gentleman says, Trace Mayer, and start to move your digital assets and cryptocurrencies onto something like a Nanoledger S. Now, I don't have a link or referral link, but a lot of the different YouTubers that I recommend, all of them have a referral link in their description. And one thing, make sure you get if you're going to get a Nanoledger S, make sure it's new and you don't get it used from someplace like eBay or something. Because I'll tell you what, one of the tricks that I had learned that people had done is they would put a Nanoledger S on eBay. They would sell for half the price. People would load up on this Nanoledger S that they bought off eBay from somebody else. Then the person had the keys to the Nanoledger S. They would reset it, get the information from the Nanoledger S that they sold, and take all of those digital assets and cryptocurrencies from that person into their own wallet, and it was a scam. So make sure if you get one that it is brand new. And that's my PSA, or public service announcement, for the day. Next up, Bitwise report says the crypto is a rare combination of 4 key features as far as a single investment. So what the heck are they talking about? So, the December 2019 investor newsletter from Bitwise Asset Management details how 4 features make cryptocurrency awesome, essentially. 4 things: high potential returns. I think we all know that. For the potential of great returns comes great risk, and that's just what happens in this space. There's an extremely low correlation to other assets. So in the stock market, you can see that stock market kind of tumbles and falls, and then everything else tumbles and falls with it that are in that stock market or other types of things that are outside. Those are correlated assets. But if you can take a look, as the economy starts to slow down, or there's some type of economic turmoil, especially like with the US-China trade agreement being tentative and on shaky ground, you see the stock market start to dip, and all of a sudden then the cryptocurrency digital asset market starts to increase because people are scared and they want to hedge their bet. That is a low correlation. Liquidity means you can take your money out, everything's going good, you're not locked up in like a CD or something old school like that. And there's equal access for any type of investor. So when I saw that, I was like, really? Is that true? Especially with this Bitwise Asset Management. So I took a look at their website. Took a look at their website. Very nice, very slick type of place. And you can do a number of investments here. But then I was looking at this weekly subscriptions because I was wondering, like, well, how can I invest in these types of things? Not that I'm going to, but I was curious. So like, if you're it asks you, are you an individual or a financial advisor? So the individual, it's open to accredited investors with a $25,000 minimum investing as an individual. So look, they say that it's equal because it doesn't matter if you're individual or an institution, but in reality, how many of us have 25 grand just hanging around, or we are an accredited investor? And I always thought accredited investor was 250,000, not 25,000, but maybe things have changed, I'm not sure. Anyhow, I can see their point, but as far as like investing in cryptocurrency digital assets, you can invest $1 today if you wanted to in Bitcoin. You get, I don't know how many, like 100 Satoshis or whatever it is. I don't know the exact conversion off the top of my head, but as far as you being like available for this one, no, got to be accredited. Then it goes on to say that researchers confirm cryptocurrency is a highly volatile and risky asset. Bitcoin is still in its infancy. Look, crypto market, digital assets, is so new. I don't care what people say. Well, Bitcoin was created in 2009. That's 10 years later. It's still new, my friend. It's still new. If you're listening to this video, you're still 1%. Because how many people that you know personally, you're the person that's listening to this video, outside of online connections that you have, how many people know about Bitcoin? Maybe a lot. Maybe some have heard of it. I mean, they have. Past the word Bitcoin, how many people know Ethereum? How many people know XRP? How many people know Tron? How many people know Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, all that stuff? None. Very, very few. So Bitcoin people have heard about mostly in a negative sentiment, Silk Road and the sex trade and paying off hitmen and the cartel and money laundering. That's what they heard about it. Not that it's a great investment like what we see here. So I still think, it's still in its infancy. And the problem, this is what I see as far as the problem right now. Everybody's looking at this market as like, what is going to be the overall winner? What is going to be the absolute maker of all cryptocurrencies and digital assets? Well, in our comment section, people get really heated when we start to talk about Bitcoin versus Ethereum versus XRP, mostly XRP. And people are looking at like, look, Bitcoin's going to be the end all be all. And other people are like, no, you got it wrong. XRP is going to be the end all be all, or it's going to be Tron, or it's going to be Tomato Coin. I don't know, whatever it is. But I don't think we're looking at it the right way. I think if we were able to look 20 years down the road, then sure, maybe, if we have a crystal ball, but nobody does. I'm going to give you an example. And it comes from, there was this article I just read, and it talks about how, this was from CoinDesk, and investor talks about how blockchain projects are just entering the Netscape phase. And I was like, no, Netscape was statistically, if you're on my channel, you're between the ages of 21 to 44, majority leaning towards 25 and younger, 32 and younger. And you're predominantly males, some females. But if you're in your 20s, you don't know, you may have heard about Netscape, you're not really sure about it. But Netscape was one of the first browsers that came along during when the internet was actually created. And for some of those like me, I can remember before the internet. There was no internet. There was these things called, we had these things called books. We looked up stuff, went to a library, the Dewey Decimal System. Don't even get me started, I'm old. But I was thinking about this, I'm like, I don't think it was really Netscape. I like to compare it to like the Yahoo time. And here's a good example. This is from Data is Beautiful. It's a great YouTube channel. And it's gonna go over for like the first minute. I'm gonna show you like, this is Netscape, right? This is the value of Netscape back in 1998. Oh my God. $7 billion. This thing's called Excite, Lycos. You guys have no idea. Most of you don't know what the heck that is. And there's Amazon all the way down here at 1 billion. Wow. I think Bezos is worth like over 100 billion now. Yahoo, and so you look at these things, and if you can think about right now, what's around right now? Yahoo, kinda. Amazon's around, and there's a lot of different things of .com companies that are around, like, I don't know, Google, those types of places. But check this out. So I'm gonna hit play. Whoa. Look how everything shifts. So like Netscape's there and it's doing good, and then boom, Yahoo goes around. And Yahoo just takes over. Then Amazon comes up, but then I want you to see something else. See how Amazon starts? Actually, I'm gonna stop. But you see how like, where the hell did Netscape go? Oh, it's gone already, shoot. Yeah, so first 20 seconds, Netscape is out. So Yahoo kind of came after it and said, hey, I can do a better thing. I can be a little bit faster, a little bit whatever. And it took over. Do I think that Bitcoin is going to fall off the map? No, I think Bitcoin is going to be here for a very long time. And it might be one of those companies that starts and ends and is the end all be all. But who's to say? Nobody knows. But I will tell you this, I think we're past that Netscape phase and we're kind of jostling for position. There's one thing, Yahoo's going to get taken over by Google, right? So if you were an investor for this year, and you invested in Netscape, you did pretty well for that first year. So if you're investing, I just hold. I I'm not a trader, I would say. I'm an investor, actually, because I'm going to hold and I'm going to sell it at a certain point for my exit plan. But if you look at this, if you were investing in Netscape for that year and got out, you did pretty well, you know, as long as you had an exit strategy. If you were investing in Yahoo, you did real well for years and years and years, actually all the way 2002, 2003. So when we start to talk about in the comment section, like, you know, poo-pooing on this project or that project, hey, each project is going to build upon each other, and other projects may stand on those shoulders. And if you were an investor and just have an exit strategy, you can do pretty well for yourself. The other thing is that we will never know who is the end-all be-all cryptocurrency digital asset until we get there. So we can kind of look at the company itself, the teams that are behind it, what is driving adoption, those types of things. And I believe in that. You know, you can always invest in good teams. That's what Warren Buffett does. He takes a look at the companies itself and just says, okay, where's this company going? Who's leading it? Who's managing it? Who's the CFO? What are the books looking like? And, you know, how is it going to progress? Same thing with like Amazon right here. See, I want to have you watch this. Amazon was doing pretty well in 99, but check this out. As time goes on, it starts to fluctuate, and then all of a sudden something happens. It goes up again, eBay's there, Lycos is there, fluctuating, 24 billion, 25, 26, 28. It's going up, but Yahoo is kicking it. But then it starts to go down, and down, and down, and down some more. 17. So was that 25 billion? And right there, it's lost about half of its value. Does this mean that Amazon sucks and it's a scam and it's worthless? No. It just means at that point that investors just had shaken confidence, or maybe it was taking one step back to take two steps forward as it laid the track, or it laid the infrastructure to build the behemoth that it is today. So when we start to think about, you know, if you're looking at price, you're just doing a little short-sighted. Look at what is happening behind the scenes. And it's not what people say, it's what people do. So when you're looking at these companies and these projects, what are they doing? Do they actually have utility? Are they making things work? Amazon did a hell of a job with that, and it seemed to pay off. So, I mean, we can look at this. Wow, it's going down to 6 billion, 5 billion. Can you imagine if you're an investor back here? You're probably like, I made the dumbest decision of my life, which is what happens in these bull and bear markets, right? We lose a lot of money, and we're like, ugh, I made a wrong decision. You didn't. You didn't. Look at the company. Look at what's happening. Look at who's behind it. Look at how it progresses and what's going to actually bolster it as time goes on. So I'm going to jump forward. Let's go to, I don't know. Amazon's at 5 billion. Now it's at 32 billion. Just, 6 years later, something like that? And I bet if I move forward, I mean, I don't even have to tell you, 343 billion. And then look at all the different .com companies that were there before. This looks completely different than what we just saw over here. There's always going to be some that make it, like Amazon, still there, right? I think Bitcoin's one of those. Bitcoin's like, hey, I'm the first mover. I have first mover advantage. Amazon's kind of like the same way. E-commerce, I'm going to go down, I'm going to go up, but this is what I do, and I'm going to make inroads, and I'm going to end up being the winner. And right now, that's pretty much how it goes. All right. So moving forward on this article to round it all out, let's see. This is from the Bitwise. They say, while past performance is no guarantee of future results, Bitcoin's 10-year track record suggests it's here to stay, and many believe it's just getting started. According to the report, even a small crypto investment can have a revelatory impact on a portfolio. It hedges the bet. Despite the volatility that crypto experienced, adding a 2.5% allocation to the Bitwise 10 over boosted the portfolio's return by 50% without increasing risk. A 1% allocation boosted returns by 18% while reducing the portfolio's overall volatility. This is what I talk about. in 2020, institutional companies, institutional investors, institutional investments from these legacy systems are going to pile into the market. Because if you are a trader, or if you are these institutions, your job is to make sure that your customers are happy. If they make money, you make money, and everybody wins. Well, I mean, for the most part, some of these places, they make a ton of money just on fees, but you can't keep losing money for all of your investors and for them to keep coming back. It'd be moronic, I would think. Although some do. But I will say, if you are one of these companies, and these are like legacy companies, and I talk about this all the time, like Fidelity. Fidelity is an old school legacy system. Used to deal with my 401k, and you got TD Ameritrade. Now these guys right now are in this space. So what they know is exactly what this report says. And the report said, hey, look, if you can allocate a couple of percentage points to this digital asset and cryptocurrency market, you can come out ahead and you can hedge the bet and you can look like geniuses. And that's exactly what's going to happen in 2020. They'll be like, oh, well, I can do that. And again, people like that are older, myself, maybe, even millennials who are, I'm kind of on that bridge part. But if you are unsure about cryptocurrency digital assets because you've heard nothing but negative news, like we just talked about, funds terrorism, it's an awful investment. It loses money, and it's how these bear and bull cycles, and it's used for cartels and drugs and whatever. If you see, well, I don't know about that, but I know about Fidelity, and they've been around for a long time. I trust them, or I trust TD Ameritrade. I trust them. So maybe they know something I don't. Let's give it a whirl. That's what's going to happen. And people are going to go like, oh, all right, I'll give it a shot. So can you imagine, instead of being like the 1% that we are, now you got 50% of, let's just say US. Let's say 30% of US is like, okay, I do investments. I want to invest into this market. So yeah, allocate 1 to 2.5%. Let's see what happens. And then what's going to happen is Bitcoin halving on 2020. Next year after that, statistically, is usually when things start to go up. They're going to look like everybody's gonna look like geniuses, everybody's gonna be happy. And then they're gonna tell their friends and da-da-da and FOMO, and you know exactly where that goes. So that's how I see it. Moving forward, Ripple's XRP is being adopted by almost every Japanese bank, CipherTrace CEO says. And I was like, who the hell is CipherTrace? What is that? So David Jevons, the CEO of blockchain sleuth CipherTrace, made a bombshell announcement that almost every Japanese bank was starting to use the XRP cryptocurrency at the annual Rakuten Technology Conference. So I didn't know what CipherTrace was, didn't know what David Jevons was, I had barely an idea what Rakuten was. So what the heck? Let's start with Rakuten. What's that? Rakuten, Japanese electronic commerce and online retailing company based in Tokyo. E-commerce platform. So it doesn't have to do a lot with cryptocurrency digital assets, electronics, commerce, e-commerce, that type of thing. Okay, interesting stuff. And then, so the next question was, well, who the hell is David Jevons and CipherTrace? Who's John Galt? Who is David Jenkins and CipherTrace? So I did some research and read it all up, but there was a YouTuber named Thinking Crypto who did a great job of explaining all this. Thinking Crypto, if you don't know him, I had watched him years ago. I didn't know he was still around. And pretty smart guy. He does a lot of the same thing I tried to allow myself to do, which is do a lot of research, get into it, get into the thick of it, so we're not reporting on craziness. Anyhow, 35,000 subscribers. And hey, real quick, when it says you, that means us, Digital Asset News. So I want to say thanks everybody, because we're closing in on like 4,000 subscribers now, which is amazing. We'll be done in 30 days. So thanks. Anyhow, one thing to note, and we're going to get into this in a second. The views, you can see he does good work, but every time he talks about XRP, his views go through the roof, 8,600. So I've noticed that too. There's 2 times when things go up. When I talk about price predictions, that's like my best video of all time. And then when I talk about XRP, and if I talk about both of those things, price predictions, XRP, then my viewership goes through the roof. Now, I don't like to do that all the time, because do you want me to sit here every day and tell you an XRP price prediction? You think I'm a nut, and I would lose credibility. And then once you lose credibility, you lose all hope. So I don't do that. I did my price prediction before, and I thought it was not going to be $95 in a couple of years, and everybody thought it was crazy. Well, not everybody. Some people thought it was realistic, but I'll link that video over here. It's not just some number that came out of my ass. It's like a number that is based on what's happened in the last two halvings and what's going to happen in the third. Some people think that Bitcoin is going to go to 12,000 in the third halving, and some people think it's going to go to 250,000. And if you're John McAfee, you think it's going to go to 1 million. So if you just look at history, it might actually do that. Am I saying it's going to? Absolutely, and you have to put your money in? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that history sometimes repeats, not all the time, or sometimes it actually rhymes, and sometimes it doesn't really pan out. But if you look at history, this is what has happened, and this is what potentially could happen. Not financial advice, obviously, right? All right, so getting into thinking crypto, good guy. So this is a minute snippet, and he explains who this guy is, who CipherTrace is, and what he said at this Rakuten conference, where he said that, hey, all the banks in Japan are using not Ripple, XRP. And there's a difference. Ripple's the company. XRP is X-current on-demand liquidity. And I did another video just yesterday about that. So, but let's let you listen to this gentleman right here.
Really quick though, let me just give you some quick background. David is a highly experienced executive in the Bitcoin, blockchain payments, email security, anti-phishing, secure messaging, and internet security industries. He has a strong background in public and private company management, deep experience with venture capital funding, technology, marketing, IPO, mergers, and acquisitions. Founded and sold 3 internet security companies, investor of 17 issued U.S. patents for security and encryption. Expert in virtual currencies, Bitcoin and blockchain, financial cryptography, internet security, payments, encryption, enterprise security, iOS and Android security. Why did I just read that to you? Because I want you to know this guy is not some amateur or some joke. This guy knows his stuff. Look at his resume. Now,
I appreciate that, because I cannot tell you how many times I go to an article and they're like, this analyst states, and it'll say something like, Rocky Bottoms 1, 2, 3, 4 thinks that Bitcoin will go to 170 billion. I'm like, who the hell is that? Makes no sense. Why are you quoting some guy that, what is his credentials? I don't understand. So I appreciate when Thinking Crypto does that, where he says, hey, this is a guy who knows what he's talking about. It's not just some fabrication that makes sense. Now he's going to talk. Now he's going to let this guy speak. So here we go.
Let me play for you here what he has to say.
So there's over 1,600 cryptocurrencies today that use blockchain. So all of us have probably heard about Bitcoin, some of us about Ethereum. In Japan, almost every bank is starting to work with something called XRP, or you may know it as Ripple. And there's many others.
In Japan, almost every bank is starting to work with or leverage XRP.
Okay, and that's about it it's a great video. Go ahead and watch this after this one, and give him a subscribe. Smart guy, does a lot of hard work, and doesn't just leave it up in the air. He actually does his research, so I appreciate that. Thanks, my man. All right, moving on. Ripple's yearly report. This is pretty interesting. Dumping to being valued at $10 billion. I do like to hear about these different types of things, especially the FUD parts. What's going on? Anyhow, so in this report, it states that Ripple has partnered with over 350 in 2019, 350 banks and different financial institutions, right? SendFriend, Transgo, FTCS, EuroXM. Now, there's a very important point I need to make, and that is that just because they have partners in banks, they're using Ripple. They're not using all XRP, okay? XRP is the on-demand liquidity. I did a video yesterday. I'm going to link it in the description below. I'm trying to get actually I'll probably try to do a card. But it talks about the difference between X-current, X-rapid, ODL, X-rapid, ODL, XRP, same type of thing, right? And what that means and why it's so important that these banks start with X-current and move to the X-rapid and ODL. Okay. In Q2 2019, X-rapid usage shot by 170%. Additionally, a 30% increase in X-rapid partners was also witnessed, which wasn't that many. This was mainly due to Ripple's partnership with MoneyGram in June 2019, one of the top 5 financial service providers. XRapid works by leveraging XRP to provide on-demand liquidity, and I explained that in the video, what the hell that means. It was also reported that Ripple's ODL was responsible for the transfer of 10% of Mexican foreign exchange trading. And it doesn't state it here, but that equated to $100 million. Think about that. MoneyGram pretty much just started with XRP and Ripple. This was like 6-8 months ago, and they moved $100 million because they wanted to be conservative. Let's just do 10% to one country. And they did that, and they've been doing nothing but raving about it in different conferences. And even they had an interview with Brad Garlinghouse himself. Both the CEOs sat down. They talked about how great it was. The biggest hindrance right now is getting all the other banks on board to be like, hey, stop using Swift, even that Swift GPI, and move to this because right now transfers suck. What I mean by that, they are slow, they are unreliable, and they are costly. And I need to make a whole video about what it is Swift API, and XRP, and why this one is superior. Anyhow, let's move on. Ripple reporting that the ODL usage shot up by 75% from Q2 to Q3, and it's 5 times in the same period. In addition, Ripple announced its acquisition of Team Algorand to support the ongoing development of ODL. So that's great. Good stuff, right? I have to just say, I'm not going to go over this, but all I'm going to say is, I'm going to link this in the description, but you can read it. But all these different companies that they have invested into, what they're doing is they're laying the groundwork for greater track. They're putting that infrastructure in. Forte, Kava Labs, Bolt Labs, Agoric, and they're all doing different things to help Ripple and XRP pretty much become a global dominance. Now, will this pan out? No, everything could, you never know, everything could fall apart. Business is a funny thing. I've opened up many businesses and I've been successful at some, but I've learned the most from my failures. Have I had failures? You bet your ass I have. And they hurt, but you have to fail at some point to make sure that you're a success down the road. It just has to happen. So I think, will this happen? Yeah, I can see it happening, but we'll see in the future. But this is what I really want to get to. This is the amazing part. In Q2, SEC announced that it would establish nodes on certain open source permissionless ledgers, such as the XRP ledger, to help inform its policy making. Are you kidding me? The SEC has a node on the XRP ledger. It's amazing. Moreover, UK's Financial Conduct Authority analogized XRP to Ethereum, which it recognized was a hybrid utility exchange token, not a secured token or security token. So if you're not aware, right now Ripple is going through a lawsuit against certain investors that invested into XRP, and they're saying that it's a security token. I believe it'll get thrown out, but we'll see. But right now, UK already recognized that XRP is not a security token, so we'll see if that translates to the American courts and SEC. Perhaps the most important development by Ripple is easing regulatory uncertainty is their move in Washington, D.C. Ripple announced they had opened a new office in D.C., and they would focus on educating policymakers on cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies. So you're telling me that Ripple they opened up an office, they have an office in California, now they open it up in Washington, D.C. to help educate the regulators and everybody else around all these policymakers about what blockchain, cryptocurrency, and digital assets are. Do you think that they might be planting the seed to start to work not only with governments, but to push legislation in the direction that they want it to go? You don't understand how, if you're not from America, this is pretty much how it works. You'll have lobbyists, and they will go to see senators and congressmen and so on and so forth, and it's like a bug in their ear. And they'll be like, look, I'm from the meat industry, I'm from the dairy industry, or whatever else, and I think you should do these types of regulations, and this is why it's going to help with my company, this is why it's going to help America. They're like, okay. And, then it gets a little dirty as these lobbyists start to throw cash and money around. But look, it's not what you know. I don't care how great your project is. I don't care how great something is, unless you have really marketing you will not succeed. Here's an example. What's the best food? What's the best burger in your town? I don't know where you're from. I have no idea where you're from. I don't know if you're from some small town in England, or if you're from a big place in California, or where. What's the best burger place? The majority of you. Okay, wherever that is, you're wrong. The best burger place is McDonald's. And I'm going to tell you why. I said the best. Did I say the best tasting? Did I say the best quality? No, I just said the best. So if you want to talk about best as far as like how much money a place makes, or how much traffic it gets, or how many customers they have, McDonald's has you beat hands down. Why are they that way? Because they're all over the place. They're all over the place, and they got stores everywhere, and they see it everywhere. And that's why McDonald's wins. Okay, so off my soapbox of McDonald's and all that stuff, but it really just comes down to, guys and gals, it's who you know, not what you know. All right, moving forward. In addition to this move, Craig Phillips, former counselor to U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, joined Ripple's board of directors to advise the firm on regulatory affairs. Susan Friedman and Ron Hammond, two officials with government backgrounds, also joined the DC office. Ripple's also joined the Blockchain Association group to further the regulatory clarity for cryptocurrencies. It all kind of comes together. This is a long game. This is not like, hey, we're going to go show up in Washington, D.C. and we get regulation like at a drop of a hat like that. It's just planting those seeds to at one day actually be able to harvest. That's how I see it. And last up, XRP, Bitcoin are the most bought coins on COINBASE. And this totally makes sense, right? Bitcoin is the number one coin. I would think that people would not only buy it, but hold it for a long time. So let's see what they say. So looking back to 2019, before I get going, this is from Sahana Kiran. Follow her on Twitter. I followed her on Twitter for her account. She's got a lot of good insights, and she's a full-time cryptocurrency writer. So I like a lot of her posts. If you like it, go ahead and I'll link her in the description. So looking back to 2019, altcoin XRP witnessed a major drop in its price throughout the year. Currently priced at 19 cents. XRP is at its yearly low. Look, same thing with Amazon that we just saw, right? How crappy did Amazon do for those years? When they went down to like 5 billion. Now it's, about 400 billion, 500 billion, I can't remember. Anyhow, additionally, Grayscale's report also suggested that XRP had gained momentum among both financial as well as individual users. Crypto differs last report gave more insight. And this is where it talks about the report. So as the report, Bitcoin was the most held on Coinbase with a typical hold time of 89 days. Ethereum had nearly 105 days. So this is the chart. This was from Crypto Differ. And let's just blow it up because I can't see that well. Got to put on my readers. All right. So if you look at this, Bitcoin, the average hold time is 89 days. Pretty good. Ethereum, 105. Litecoin, 125 days. That's crazy. Bitcoin Cash, 79. And then XRP, 86 days. And then it kind of falls off the face of the earth. Except for ZRX, that decentralized cryptocurrency. 142 days. Damn, EOS is 4. Crazy. Ethereum Classic, 130, which I guess is kind of in line with Ethereum itself. Okay, but what's most interesting, and this is just looking at the typical hold time. This is for 2019. I believe this is for 2019, what they were looking at. But the trading activity, Bitcoin, this is 26% sell, but 74% buy. They're holding that asset like crazy. But look at XRP. They are selling only 24% of the time, but they're buying 76%. And then you go on the line, whatever else it is. So I think when we talk about smart money are the people that they buy low and sell high. And it sounds so simple, but it's pretty tough because as people, we are hardwired. We have this reptilian brain and we are in a fight or flight mechanism. So when we see things that are going down, like oh shit, all these price action, see everything's being, it's so much lower than what it was. Amazon stock is going down. I gotta get rid of this stuff. It's just worthless. And then it goes down, and because people don't want to lose anymore, right? And then when it starts to go up, people are like, well, that one burnt me. I'm not going to do that again. And then it goes up and up and up and up. And then as soon as it like gets to like a certain point, everybody just starts to FOMO in. It's like a tipping scale. And then off you go. So that's like the dumb money. And that's pretty much what I did in the beginning. And now I'm trying to be a little bit smarter. I'm not that smart, ask my wife. But yeah, I'm just trying to slowly accumulate. And then I have my exit strategies as far as like when I want to get out. There's certain price points. Like when XRP goes back to its, about $3 or so, I'm going to sell about 5%. Then when it hits $5, I'm going to sell, I think I said 10%. I have it in my charts. But that's what I'm going to stick to and be more regimented. And hopefully I can be considered smart money instead of dumb money. But I think when I'm looking at these types of graphs, it gives me hope that, yeah, okay, this makes sense. If a lot of people are buying and holding, they're holding for 86 days and they're not really selling too much, maybe that's an indication of something. Who knows? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the rants and the craziness that is this channel. I appreciate it greatly. If you could do us a favor, like, comment below, and subscribe. And I will say this, I appreciate all those people who, if you agree with me, great. If you disagree with me, greater. Because when you disagree with me, it makes me look at a certain asset a little bit tougher and ask more questions than I otherwise would not have asked myself. And it leads me to more information and I can make a better decision. And so far, I appreciate it. I appreciate it greatly. So thank you all. I will see you on the next one.